Just earlier, I got another comment like this. Why are you trying to pit Singapore against other countries? Are you with the Chinese Communist Party? What's your agenda? Me? CCP, I wish. At least that would come with lifetime job security. And probably a free iron rice bowl, too. My agenda? Simple. To get more views and make ad revenue. Nothing more, nothing less. Let me emphasize again. Over 100 million videos are uploaded to YouTube every single day, and about 80% of those are in English. That means you have roughly 80 million brand new videos every day to watch. So honestly, why waste your precious time on some tiny, no subscriber, nobody's video like mine? If you don't like it, just don't watch. But you're still here, aren't you? That says something. And here's the fun part. Americans openly roast their own country. They'll say, our education system is broken, our infrastructure is collapsing, America is finished. Koreans too. They invented the phrase hell Joseon just to describe how miserable their own society feels. But Japan? Oh no. Japan could be on fire, sinking into the ocean, and bankrupt at the same time, but will they admit it? Never. Instead, they'll turn and say, Singapore is North Korea with Wi-Fi. Really? North Korea with Wi-Fi? That's the best insult you've got. Meanwhile, have you tried living in Tokyo, where everyone polices you with just a stare? At least in North Korea, you know who the guards are. In Tokyo, it's your neighbor, your co-worker, and the old lady 3 train seats away, silently judging your posture. Welcome to Freedom, Japanese edition. Let's actually unpack this famous Japanese insult. Singapore is North Korea with Wi-Fi. First of all, congratulations. Japan has invented the laziest metaphor in Asia. It's the kind of insult that sounds clever until you realize it's not. It's like calling sushi raw fish on rice. Technically true, but missing the entire point. Yes, Singapore is strict. Yes, chewing gum bans exist. Yes, littering fines are higher than Tokyo's average hourly wage. But North Korea? Come on. Comparing Singapore to North Korea is like comparing Tokyo Disneyland to a prison camp. Both have uniforms, but one has Mickey Mouse and popcorn while the other has starvation. Big difference. And what about that Wi-Fi part? That's the only thing in the whole insult that's actually accurate. Singapore really does have functioning Wi-Fi everywhere, which, by the way, Tokyo does not. Have you ever tried connecting to Wi-Fi in Japan? Good luck. You'll get 15 different free Wi-Fi signals, none of which actually connect. Or worse, they'll make you register with a Yahoo Japan email account like it's still 1999. North Korea might not have Wi-Fi, but at least it doesn't tease you with fake signals every 10 meters. Here's the irony. Japanese people complain about Singapore's so-called authoritarian atmosphere, but in Tokyo, the entire society functions on silent authoritarianism. There's no need for police on every corner when your boss, your mother-in-law, and the strangers on the train already control your behavior through passive-aggressive glares. In Singapore, the government tells you directly, don't do this, don't do that. In Tokyo, no one tells you anything. You're just expected to magically know. And if you don't, the punishment is shame, alienation, and a lifetime of being that weird guy. So calling Singapore North Korea with Wi-Fi is not just lazy. It's projection. It's Japan looking at another small successful country and saying, we don't like that you make us look outdated. It's envy dressed up as an insult. So let's flip the insult around. Japanese netizens love to point at Singapore and say, authoritarian, robotic, no freedom. But let's take a walk through Tokyo daily life. What exactly is this magical freedom that Tokyo offers? On the surface, sure, nobody finds you for chewing gum, but try doing something slightly unusual in Tokyo. Wear too bright a color on the train. People will stare at you like you're a zoo exhibit. Talk on your phone in public. Congratulations. You've just committed a social crime punishable by mass glaring. Try eating while walking. Now you've crossed into full rebellion territory. Forget police patrols. You've got the entire city acting as unpaid social enforcers. At least in Singapore, the government is honest about their rules. In Tokyo, the rules are invisible, endless, and enforced by shame. And don't even get me started on work culture. Japanese people claim Singapore is robotic, Let's talk about the 12-hour workdays, the unpaid overtime, the morning ritual of bowing to your boss like it's a religious ceremony. In Singapore, at least, the Wi Fi lets you stream Netflix after work. In Tokyo, the only thing streaming is your life draining away as you squeeze into the last train home. Then there's housing. In Singapore, your average person lives in a clean, relatively spacious HDB flat with functioning infrastructure. In Tokyo, the dream is a shoebox apartment where your bathroom sink is also your kitchen sink. And guess what? Rent will still eat half your paycheck. If Singapore is North Korea with Wi Fi, then Tokyo is North Korea with Hello Kitty. Strict, suffocating, but packaged in something cute so you forget how bleak it really is. So the next time a Japanese commenter sneers about Singapore's lack of freedom, remember, Tokyo life isn't freer, it's just subtler. The dictatorship is silent, decentralized, and dressed in politeness. In many ways, that's far scarier. Here's the funny part. Americans roast America every single day. They say, our healthcare is a disaster, our schools are failing, our bridges are falling apart. Koreans, they literally branded their own country, Hell Joseon. That's not an insult from outsiders. That's their own people saying, yep, our country is hell. Brutal honesty, but at least it shows self-awareness. But Japan? Oh no. Japan is allergic to self-criticism. You will never hear mainstream Japanese voices say, our economy has been stagnant for 30 years, our wages are frozen, our society is collapsing demographically, and our government is clueless. Instead, they turn their gaze outward. Singapore is authoritarian. Korea is obsessed with plastic surgery. America is violent. China is scary. It's always someone else's problem. Meanwhile, back home, the train system is full of groping incidents, the fertility rate is collapsing, and half of Tokyo's single men are still living with their mums. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about Singapore's gun ban instead. This is Japan's coping mechanism, projection. Instead of confronting its failures, it creates little caricatures of other countries. Singapore is North Korea with Wi Fi. Korea is too competitive. China is copycat. America is dangerous. And Japan, oh, Japan is always unique. Yes, unique like a museum exhibit. Beautiful, nostalgic, but slowly turning into dust while the world moves on. And here's the kicker. Deep down, they know. They know Japan hasn't grown in decades, that young people have no future, and that everything from wages to innovation lags behind. But acknowledging it out loud, that would break the illusion of harmony. So instead, better to laugh at Singapore. It's safer to attack others than face the mirror. So when you hear North Korea with Wi Fi, don't get offended. Just remember, it's not about Singapore. It's about Japan hiding its own failures behind a cheap one liner. Japan loves to brag about soft power. Anime, sushi, J-pop, they think these cultural exports give them global influence. And yes, anime conventions in Los Angeles are packed, sushi restaurants are everywhere, and some teenager in France is probably cosplaying as Naruto right now. But let's be brutally honest. What has this soft power actually done for Japan's economy or politics? Did anime stop wages from being frozen since 1995? Did sushi increase the birth rate? Did Hello Kitty fix the pension system? No. At best, soft power is Japan's escape hatch, a fantasy world they project to distract from the decline at home. Now let's compare that with Singapore. Singapore doesn't even bother with cosplay-level soft power. They don't need anime to win hearts. They have real power: trade, finance, logistics, and diplomacy. Tiny city-state, yet somehow it punches above its weight in every arena that actually matters. Container shipping, number one. Air travel hub, number one. Ease of doing business, at the top. Banking sector, global heavyweight. And foreign policy? Singapore has managed the impossible trick of being friends with the US, China, and practically everyone else at the same time. That's not soft power, that's smart power. Meanwhile, Japan's soft power is literally soft. It melts under heat. Sure, people binge anime, but that doesn't mean they respect Japan's politics. No one is asking Tokyo for leadership on global issues. Singapore, on the other hand, has Lee Kuan Yew's legacy of pragmatism and efficiency. They didn't need to draw cartoons of magical girls to get respect. They built a functioning system that works. So when Japanese people mock Singapore as North Korea with Wi-Fi, remember, that's the voice of a country clinging to anime for relevance, while another country quietly runs half the global economy from a city smaller than Tokyo's suburbs. Here's the irony. When Japan calls Singapore North Korea with Wi-Fi, it's not really an insult, it's a cry for help. Because deep down, Japan knows exactly what Singapore represents, the future they never achieved. Think about it. In the 1980s, Japan was the superstar of Asia. The world thought Tokyo would replace New York as the global financial hub. Instead, what happened? 30 years of stagnation, an entire generation robbed of wage growth, and an economy that now makes Italy look like a growth engine. Meanwhile, Singapore, tiny, humid, no natural resources, quietly built itself into the Switzerland of Asia. Finance, tech, infrastructure, global reputation, everything Japan was supposed to become, Singapore actually became. And the numbers don't lie. Singapore's GDP per capita has soared past Japan's. Their education system consistently ranks at the top while Japan slips. Their housing policies, flawed as they are, still give most citizens a path to ownership, while Tokyo residents cram into apartments so small they make IKEA showrooms look spacious. Even the airport tells the story. Changi wins world's best airport year after year, while Narita feels like it's stuck in 1975. So what does Japan do? Admit the failure? Of course not. Instead, they mock Singapore. It's easier to sneer about chewing gum bans than to admit your own millennials can't afford children. It's easier to call Singapore authoritarian than to explain why Japanese workers are still bowing to their bosses at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. This is what I call the silent revenge of Singapore. Without saying a word, Singapore has surpassed Japan on almost every meaningful measure. And the louder Japan calls it North Korea with Wi-Fi, the more it proves how insecure they've become. Because if Singapore really were North Korea, then Japan wouldn't feel threatened. But they do. And that says everything. Let's flip the insult one last time. If Singapore is North Korea with Wi-Fi, then what exactly is Japan? Honestly, it's starting to look more like North Korea with anime and convenience stores. Think about it. In Singapore, rules are written down. You can see them, follow them, and know where the boundaries are. In Japan, the rules are invisible, unspoken, and suffocating. You don't even know what they are until you break them. And then suddenly everyone is staring at you like you've committed a war crime by eating a sandwich on the train. At least Singapore finds you openly. Japan just lets you drown in silent shame. Which feels freer, you decide. Singapore invests in the future. AI, biotech, green energy. Japan. They're still arguing about whether women should be allowed to keep their maiden names after marriage. Singapore debates how to attract the world's top talent. Japan debates how to stop its shrinking population from disappearing entirely. Singapore is building, adapting, reinventing. Japan is reminiscing about 1985. And here's the kicker. For all its strictness, Singaporeans actually get something in return. Clean streets, functioning infrastructure, world-class public services. In Tokyo, you pay through the nose for taxes and still end up with crumbling public schools, collapsing bridges, and politicians who can't even decide whether to raise the consumption tax without a 2-year argument. So let's be honest. If anyone's living in a system that feels like North Korea with Wi-Fi, it's not Singapore. It's Tokyo. A society policed by invisible rules, addicted to conformity, and unable to admit its own decline. The difference? At least Singapore's Wi-Fi actually works. So after all this, what have we learned? When Japanese netizens call Singapore North Korea with Wi-Fi, it's not about Singapore at all. It's a mirror reflecting Japan's own insecurity. Because if Singapore really were North Korea, nobody would care. Nobody compares themselves to North Korea. It's too far beneath them. But Singapore? That stings. Because Singapore is what Japan wanted to be. Rich, efficient, respected, and relevant in the 21st century. Meanwhile, Tokyo life marches on. Shoebox apartments, silent judgment, endless overtime, and a birth rate so low it makes Italy look fertile. Yet somehow, The national pastime isn't fixing these problems, it's mocking other countries for existing. That's the ultimate irony. A country that can't laugh at itself but desperately needs to. So let me ask you, who's really living in North Korea with Wi-Fi? The Singaporean in a clean HDB flat with working internet, a decent salary, and one of the world's best airports? Or the Tokyo salaryman stuck in a 12-hour shift, crammed into a train like human sushi, policed by the eyes of strangers, and rewarded with a cup of instant ramen at midnight? I'll let you decide. But I suspect deep down you already know. The Wi-Fi in Singapore actually works. The Wi-Fi in Japan? Well, you might still be trying to connect. Now here's the part where I want to hear from you. What do you think is the real North Korea with Wi-Fi? Is it Singapore with its gun bans, or Japan with its silent dictatorship of stairs? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm betting this debate is going to get very, very interesting. Because one thing's for sure, no matter what side you're on, you'll never look at Tokyo's freedom the same way again.